All right. Well, welcome back, guys, to The Root Trees Are Dead, Roottreemania. Whew. Get back into it. Now, the one thing I don't recall is exactly where we left off on here. I still can't believe I figured that one out so quickly. I'm still pretty confident that Susan Ford is one of the affairs. But we need to learn more about here. Alright. Any company names you find. Alright, so we're going to look into Lang Xinyu's Spire Search results. Hopefully that will lead to the child. Alright, you come across a website for the Lang Thai Textile Corporation, which is a company that has helped expand Roottree's products to China since the 1970s. The company seems very accomplished. Their site has quotes from many different reporters and news articles listed on it, in nearly every language. It's also mentioned quite often on websites about Chinese businesses, but those mentions are company-focused and not people-focused, and don't offer any information useful to your investigation. The page contains a very rudimentary leadership timeline, with names that prove that the company has been in the Lang family for a long time. It kind of looks like a family tree. It goes back at least 250 years in some form or another. During the period where they began the Roottree deal, Lang Hongbo. In China, the family name comes first, so Lang is his last name, was the CEO. He died before the internet was widespread, so there's not much out there other than his name on this website. His younger brother, Lang Hongyu, is featured on the history section directly following him. This also seems to be the only mention of the man. The current CEO is a woman listed as simply Xinyu. The site doesn't list her last name, though she does appear in the family tree below Hongbo. Lang Thai has a few American logos on its page. One is the Roottree logo, another is Tranquilts, and the third is Piece of Asia. Potential stuff to look up here later. I do like that it also displays where, like, what the like, what I'm highlighting, where that information comes from, is from, like, this page. So you can also click back and see the whole page of what you've looked up. And we know Xinyu Lang, CEO. Quilts is a play on tranquil and quilts. The name is ironic considering they're the loudest quilts you've ever seen. The main quilt featured on their website is a flaming unicorn soaring through space with peace symbols all around it. Although they were listed on the website for a textile company, they don't seem to have much of a connection. It appears that they import cloth. Piece of Asia is an American arm of Lang Tai, located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. According to their site, the Tai in Lang Tai translates to peaceful. So they chose their name in America to match. There are a lot of other companies listed here, too many to investigate, as very few of them seem to have any relevance. It seems Piece of Asia is nearly as accomplished as Lang Tai. They offer fabrics and cloths at wholesale prices. You don't spot anything out of the ordinary. The business is said to be owned by husband and wife, Jerry and Linda Han. Their Chinese names are listed too. And from using an online translator, it seems that Jerry is Zheng Wei Han and Linda is Zhenyao Lang. So who is this man? Because Linda is her. Unfortunately, the page gives us nothing. It just brings us right back to the same page. Let's try looking up Jerry Han. Jerry, Linda, and Mark Han appeared recently on a website called Focus on Philanthropy under the headline Hanging with the Hans. The Hans were chosen because they donate significantly to causes that further Chinese American culture. Jerry and Linda were both born in China and fell in love during college. Linda's father led a large company. This article never names it. After it expanded to the US, Linda's father approved their marriage, so long as Jerry took over the US portion of the business. Linda jokes that the entire situation is like something out of an Alanis Morissette song, with how ironic it all ended up. I was absolutely terrified to move to the United States, but my big sister was desperately in love with the idea. She used to have this Butch Cassidy poster on her wall and was obsessed with Robert Redford. I mean, who wouldn't be? But somehow, Jerry and I were the ones sent here. And now we couldn't possibly imagine going back. When we had Mark, we never even considered giving him a traditional name. Meanwhile, my sister stayed in China and has thrived there. She doesn't even like visiting the US anymore. Our kids are complete opposites, though. Mark couldn't wait to travel abroad as soon as he was old enough. He's actually in business school in China now, working with my sister, our niece, who grew up there. Was the opposite. She couldn't wait to get here. She started calling herself Lucy Lang in high school and flew out here as soon as she graduated. The name change apparently drove my sister absolutely loco. Wait. So is Jerry and Linda Lang Zhenyao? Zhenyu. That is the sister. So then that would mean that Lucy Lang is who we're actually looking for. I bet this is the one we're looking for. Corporate Synergistic Solutions Unlimited is a company located in New York City. Lucy Lang is a lead synergy engineer who's listed as being ranked one of the top facilitators in the World of Business Watch magazine. In the world by Business Watch magazine. As far as you can tell, CSSU is a company that other companies hire as consultants to increase productivity. It's unclear the exact services they provide. The site is light on details. There are a few high-profile companies listed on their site as forum clients. You recognize their names, but none of them are related to your current investigation. What I need to do is take Lucy Lang and in the periodicals, search for her here. Lucy's bio section mentions she grew up in a small Arkansas town, oldest of 4 children. She's only the second person in her family to ever have even left the state since her great-great-grandparents. She earned her degree from a prestigious New York college, started as a junior associate. That doesn't sound right. Okay, so wrong one, maybe? You say it doesn't seem relevant to my search, but Best of College Acapella. I'm a big acapella fan. And it has existed since 1995. It's a compilation of various acapella groups from different colleges, often performing covers of popular songs. Can I get, like, the wind? Subways of Your Minds by FEX. 1980s pop song. You find that an obscure Irish band called U2 once cited both FEX and Jim and Diamond as inspirations. Obscure Irish band called U2. As far as you can tell, neither nor Subways has anything to do with your search, and seeing as U2 is relatively unknown to anyone outside of Dublin, the connection seems to be an odd coincidence. You know, the funny part about it is because of the time period. U2 blew up later on in the 2000s. I'm pretty sure is when U2 blew up. And so it's hilarious seeing the game actually set the tone that they were just an obscure band at the time in the 90s. That's pretty funny. Alright, Team Talon Claw is a robotics club at Mideastern University. Their robot, also named Talon Claw, has been selected for appearance on the second season of the British television show focused on robot fighting. Man, BattleBots and Robot Wars and all that shit, I loved that as a kid. Great stuff, great stuff. The Robotics Club has a text-only site you can find linked from the university's student section. The site seems like it's used mostly to announce the schedule to its members. The club is supposed to meet every Tuesday and Thursday. The last 8 days have all been canceled because a few members of the team are currently in the UK filming. Another date from a few weeks back was canceled for an interview with the school's newspaper. At the bottom, the traveling members are listed as Team Capt'n Jai Patel and supporting members Lucy Lang and Kurt Hauser. This is a lot of stuff that I'm looking up, which while interesting, doesn't seem to be leading me anywhere. Like, where's Midwestern University? Midway between Maine and Miami, so just somewhere on the East Coast. I really thought I was going somewhere with this. Maybe I gotta look into Marcan? Or maybe the issue is because I'm looking up by what she started calling herself and not necessarily what her actual name is. But how do I find out her name from what we've had so far? Nothing there. I don't know where to go from here. Must be a way to learn more about Team Talon-Claw. Okay, so it is that Lucy. Legal and language departments. So they also have fairly extensive computer science and robotics program, along with other prestigious schools. They haven't quite reached the notoriety of Ivy League schools. Some refer to it as a little Ivy. The colleges embrace this, calling their newspaper the Herald, which is a combination between Hetera, the scientific name for Ivy, and Herald. Their website boasts that they have a historical technology museum on campus, including a still functioning computer from the 1960s that takes up a full room. They also have a printing press that they use to print one special year-end issue of the Herald each year. Appears to be available in your periodical archive. After a bit of research, you've discovered its name. There we go. Now we can search the Herald. Or Herald. I don't know how to spell it, but we want Lucy Lang. The Herald has a story about their school's robotics team, Team Talon-Claw. It lists 3 student members and talks a bit about each of their history, including their interest in robotics. The only one that catches your attention is Lucy Lang. She grew up in China as Min Lang. Okay, we got her first name. She grew up around factory-scale machines that assembled products that would be shipped all over the world, and the moving parts and automation fascinated her. However, as she has progressed through her major, she became obsessed with smaller, more powerful hydraulics. such as the mechanism that closes Talon Claw's weapon. She loves linguistics. One of her hobbies since coming to the States has been collecting accents. In her spare time, she practices not only removing any trace of her native inflection, but also quickly switching between multiple different regional accents. Right now, I'm reading through the second Mistborn series, and you've got the character Wayne, who just collects accents, and his thing is quick swapping between accents and acting as different characters. It's pretty kind of cool. She feels her personal best is the Southern Belle, but her favorite is Valley Girl due to its use in popular culture. The article has a picture now in your evidence. Alright, so Min Lang. College student. Got her. Yes, that's a nice, respectable bot. There we go. Done. Alright. What is the next thing we're going to look into? We really have nothing from history other than that a secretary named Elizabeth is who he cheated with. Hopefully we get to dive into that today. We're almost done with Guy Hudson's tree of infidelity. He's got his own tree sprouting from him because he's had so many affairs. Alright, what are we looking into next? You can piece together the name of one of Crocodile Clementine's children. Wait, what? Crocodile Clementine? Oh, they're talking about Mark. We know one of them is Mary Clementine. We already know that. Mary Webb? A Mary Webb in San Diego has a website called Web on the Web. Apparently, it's a personal travel diary that also doubles as an advertisement for her travel agency. There are descriptions of Mary's services, including booking flights and cruises. Almost all of them involve extremely niche audiences. It seems Mary is the #1 agent when it comes to booking spiritual vacations, aboard ghost ships, and in specific hotel rooms that are said to be haunted. She also has a dedicated section for more traditional modern cruises that cater to specific groups such as fans of boy bands. In the diary entries, she talks about the trips she's personally taken and uses that as an opportunity to feature descriptions of amenities and excursions that the ships offer, even when you're on them to see a specific band or a ghost. There's also pictures of ships, hotels, landmarks, and places she's visited, as well as a picture of Mary herself with the ship in the background. One of her diary entries actually mentions the ship that the photos were taken. She was allowed onto the ship on the port day in San Diego with a professional photographer she knows. The photo of Mary has been added to your evidence. Yes, but we still don't know which one's Mary. Paranormal Travel Agency. Web on the Web Paranormal Travel Agency. Alleged ghost ship from the 1800s. It was lost at sea and turned up without any crew several years later. Nobody knows exactly what happened, but fans left a tour and came up with their own paranormal theories. A company called Corporate Composition Photography is listed in the top left. seems to have been possible to hire them to take professional quality photos for businesses of all sorts. It appears to no longer exist. The company is also mentioned on a photography site with some IRC chat logs. It seems like the site is a personal page of a member of the IRC photography channel. They have archives of logs they've been saving since 1993, one of them from 1996. When Val, the former head photographer, did a Q&A with their users about taking pictures for promotional materials and print ads. Most of the questions and answers are pretty technical. They not only seem irrelevant, but generally go over your head. One of the questions, however, mentions that Val was on the cover of Telephoto and asks about Iraq. The question was quickly shut down by the person running the Q&A, who said Val does not wish to answer any questions from his photojournalism days, nor does he wish to talk about LBP. Please keep this on the subject of commercial photography. Why did it give us that with nothing to use it for? LBP. Nothing. We still don't know which one of these is Mary Webb. Let's throw her photo on there for now. And she would be a travel agent. We're getting at least one or two more people, and then we could figure out which of these two is Mary Webb. Curious acronym. Yeah, LPB, or whatever it was. We need to spider search it. Or was it LBP? LBP. Wide variety of results. Seems like it can stand for Lebanese pound, lower back pain, lead-based paint, low blood pressure, Louisiana Board of Pharmacy, Long Beach Peninsula. Some companies that also have the name. Lynch Building Plastics, Luxury Bridal Photography, Lexington Business Payroll, Lincoln Baby Photography, Laura's Bras and Bays, Lincoln Books and Publishing. Maybe Lincoln Baby Photography is where Val comes in. Aha! What a guess. What an actual guess. Seems like a solid lead as it mentions a Val, an award-winning photographer on the page. It's a business in Beacon, New York, and on the site it has a picture of a baby and a camera captioned with Cam Lincoln reaching for his namesake. I guess he takes after his father, Val. At the bottom, the website says copyright 1998-1999. The picture has been added to your... Oh. I think I know what's going on here. I'm betting. Oh, this is her. And Val Lincoln is Cam Lincoln's father. Lincoln baby photography website. It's labeled as Cam Lincoln reaching for his father's namesake. I guess takes after his father, Val. And the reason why he doesn't want to talk about it is because their marriage fell apart. Or, like, they're married, but they don't want to talk about it because of what happened. That's what I'm guessing for now. Moving on. I mean, do I need to find more information about Val Lincoln? I guess. Valerie Lincoln, a realtor in Michigan. As far as you can tell, there's no connection between Valerie and the Roottrees. But Val Lincoln, we could possibly find. Telephoto. Oh, is Val her sister then? Clementine on the jersey. Val Lincoln's War on War, Into the Storm. Telephoto is a photography magazine. This 1992 issue focuses on the photos of Val Lincoln, a photographer who went overseas during Desert Storm. It won the Sepia Award for photojournalism, specifically for the photo on the cover. Val got his start in high school when he took a photography class because, in his own words, he couldn't decide what else to do and thought it would be best career in the world to shoot for Playboy. But he quickly found he had a knack for it and began to skip lunch and his free periods to spend more time in the darkroom. Alright, so now what I'm thinking is that this is Mary Clementine, and we're learning about her sister. After graduating, he tried to pivot to landscape photography but didn't have a passion for it. I work much better when I'm trying to tell the story of a person or an object. He got lucky when a photographer mentor of his, who was going overseas to cover the war, decided to take a chance on him. Nice. Most people wouldn't call it lucky to go to an active war zone for no pay, but he bought my plane tickets, all my meals, and even pulled some strings so we could rush my passport. For someone that had never had a real job or even left California, it was a hell of a break. Val was only 19 at the time and shot the photo that won him an award the third night he was there. The photo depicts Lisa Clementine, who lost an arm in Operation Desert Sabri. According to the article, women were not subject to direct combat, and Lisa was in a vehicle at the time. The vehicle had to pull over suddenly when the road ahead was partially destroyed, and she and her fellow soldier were severely injured by a landmine. Val says, I ran into Lisa just after her surgery and took this picture. Then, until she shipped out, I kept finding excuses to go back and take more pictures of her. I guess it was fate, because that's the photo that won me an award, got me into your magazine, and also led to my engagement. Just earlier this week, she agreed to become Miss Lincoln. Alright, so we've now got the sister. There we go. I'm feeling pretty good about this. She's not that. She's a soldier. She was, at least. Military. There we go. Now, if this was correct, this would be the end of it, but for some reason, it is not locked in. So either this is wrong, or something here is wrong. It's supposed to lock in when I get the next 4. If you knew Lisa Clementine's occupation, you could probably place her on the tree. I did. With no results, with one small change, you might be able to fix that. Maybe if I, maybe after she got married, she got out of the military. So an amputee who lost her limb during Desert Storm. She runs a support group for fellow veterans in Beacon, New York. Makes another appearance listed as a professor at West Point, a military college. Teaches classes that contribute to the environmental engineering major. Her short biography on the staff page mentions that she had a passion for the military from a very young age, due to erroneously believing that a family member was an Air Force pilot. While she later learns that to be untrue, her passion remained and she joined ROTC in high school. From there, she enlisted. After returning from Desert Storm, she earned her degree and relocated to West Point to teach a few years ago. So she is a professor. Or teacher, I guess, is how they would put it. There we go. Now we got it. Booyah. What do we got?
Hey there, it's us. So I just have to say, the work you're doing here is fantastic.
Thank you.
So fantastic, in fact.
There goes Clark. Always the bad cop. Go ahead.
Well, our law firm, Ruby Legal Enterprises, is having trouble keeping up.
And that's my problem. Why?
They're actually begging us to stop submitting new root trees. They said it's getting difficult to verify your progress.
Well, consider that a good thing. I told Clark you'd get results.
Yeah, you did.
She says that like I didn't believe her. Regardless, the bad news is it's going to take 5 potential tree additions before anyone locks in from now on.
Well, that's rude.
Good luck.
And keep up the good work.
Okay, so they gave me no new information and just said I gotta solve 5 at least before it locks in again. When there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I gotta do 5 and then 5. So, we know something about this is wrong, but I have no clue what. Maybe that. I think these are both pictures of Susan Ford based off of the hair and the facial structure. It looks like the same person. Maybe at different points, but she could also just be like a red herring. What am I supposed to look into next? Randorf Dove seems quite famous. I bet you can find more information somewhere. Randorf Dove. Why does that why do I recognize that word or name? And why does she not lock in? I have no clue. Oh, because we don't know her maiden name, that's why. Alright. Let's see here. Oh, the school, Grandorf. I remember this. This had to do with Susan Ford. She was responsible for securing funding for the Hudson Wing. Yes, I know that. Okay, Hudson Wing. So Miss Ford learned ASL from this main school before the Hudson Wing even existed to surprise her future husband who is deaf. So Susan Ford does have a husband who's deaf. I don't know anything else from there, though. Butler Kai. Alright, let's check the periodicals. One useful article. Grandorf Dove was at the center of a crime article from 1982. It seems that someone defaced the school and vehicles outside of the brand new Hudson Wing of the school. There were multiple broken windows, and one of the teachers' cars was painted with profanities and accusations of infidelity. A few weeks later, a follow-up article provides more details. There was one arrest. Thomas Hughes, who was coincidentally a former student of the school. Apparently, a destruction came weeks after he married the school's newest teacher, Miss Hughes, otherwise known as Miss Ford. According to the reporter's investigation into the police reports, trials, and restraining orders, Mr. Hughes was convinced that he was not the father of Miss Hughes' current pregnancy. He was released on bail, and the school has agreed not to press criminal charges after an agreement was made to pay for the damages and for the couple to begin the divorce proceedings. It seems Thomas Hughes, Miss Hughes, and the Hudson Wing have all avoided further appearances in the time since then. But not from the internet, because the internet is forever. Huh, so he doesn't show up anywhere anymore? So one's gonna have the Hughes name, the other one might not. But also, that didn't lead anywhere. More recent news about it. School changed its name. I'm so confused. Okay. Grandeur School for the Deaf has made a few odd appearances here and there in the Butler County Times since 1990. It's not too many that you can't look at all of them. You managed to find something incredibly useful in an article that isn't even focused on the school itself. Local students provide key evidence in scientific study. The article from March of this year, 1999, mentions that the Ford sisters, who attend public school in Butler County, are one of only a handful of identical twins in the world who suffer from two different genetic issues. One of them has asthma and the other one is definitely allergic to peanuts. Their mother, a Miss Susie Ford, she changed her first name, who is principal at the nearby school, was originally contacted by researchers looking to identify if there were any sets of twins where one was born deaf and the other was not. While she didn't have any twins attending her school, she asked if her daughters, Melissa and Heather, Ford. They were both students. They couldn't be more different. My youngest, we all call her that even though it's only about 15 minutes, is shy, but essentially hasn't stopped running from the moment she learned to scamper. Asthma has kept her sister... Wait, the youngest is the athlete. Asthma has kept her sister off the soccer field, but she's the definition of extrovert. And is even performing in a local production of Is There Life After High School later this year. See, they could either still be students or the younger one's an athlete and the older one's an actor. I don't know. What I'm interested in is... There we go. This photo accompanied an article about scientific study in the Butler Times. The Ford twins were used as part of a nationwide study of how allergies and other diseases affect twins differently. The twin on the left is holding an inhaler, the twin on the right is holding an EpiPen. So twin on the left is the, or twin on the right is the older one. Or am I mixing these up? I'm mixing these up. So the younger one's the one on the soccer field, the older one's the acting. We're gonna put this stuff for now, but they might be K through 12. I'll wait till I get more information on these ones, and then we'll go back and look into this. Yeah, so high school, so it's suggesting that they are still students. I've done that. Why does it want me to look into it more? Heather Ford. Heather Ford would be the one with the asthma. So am I mixing these up then? Would this be it? Oh, that's why it's not. That's why she never locked in, because she became president at the school or teacher. It doesn't really differentiate between principal, I think, is what she is now. That's what they're trying to tell me. Bess Williams. Where did Bess Williams come into this? No idea. Alright, let's look into this. Time Travel Archive. Oh, an author. Okay, the one that did Family Man. I'll be right back, guys. Gotta run to the bathroom. All right. Yeah, Bess Williams was the author of Family Man, which is basically the puff piece about Elias Roottree. Or she. She lived just outside of Miami, died tragically young in a major hurricane that struck the area in 1926. Bess has a minor history with the Roottrees. Her only notable book, Family Man, is widely considered blatant propaganda. It had been all but forgotten until recently when it was re-released during the height of Roottreemania. There's a site dedicated to hurricane statistics that also mentions Bess Williams. The Bocadorol Library, not far from where she lived, was partially destroyed in the hurricane. When they rebuilt, they named the nonfiction section after her. The library was expanded again in 1950 and then closed in 1963 when multiple larger libraries opened in the surrounding area that made it redundant. There was a re-release of Family Man by Bess Williams. Blatant corporate propaganda. Let's look into this library. Bocadorol Library no longer exists. You find multiple libraries in the area. According to the website for the library system in Miami, the building where it once sat is now the Miami Print Museum. Searching for the Miami Print Museum, you come across their website. It states their hours and list of exhibits. The building's very small, admission is free, and they only have room for a few different displays. One of the exhibits in their courtyard, which includes a fountain as well as a statue of an unknown author. The picture has been added to your evidence. Another is a printing press that was used by the Miami Sunday, now defunct weekly newspaper. The last is the original print of Cuba by Cubans, an art book. So that's supposed to be Bess Williams. Why is it giving... Oh, Elizabeth Beth Williams, the one who wrote the puff piece on Elias. Is that what we're supposed to figure out? Is that she was the one who did this? Who had the infidelity with him? Found mention of a newspaper. Miami Sunday? It merged with another periodical and became Miami Mercury Sunday, which folded after only 1 year. You find a small website about quirky printing history facts that mentions that the Miami Mercury Sunday was the outcome of merging two smaller, failing newspapers. This resulted in one larger failing newspaper, which was only notable to the author because by combining the names in the way they did, it was tied for the longest name for an American newspaper at the time with the newspaper in Jefferson, Texas. Well, that didn't give me any info. Why did it tell me to look there? We want information on events before, so we want the Mercury Sunday, or Mercury. Or the Mercury? Aha. Got it. Miami Mercury is a now defunct newspaper that merged with the Miami Sunday. As a resulting newspaper went out of business, it seemed at some point during this process, it was at least partially archived and available via your periodical search. There we go. The Miami Mercury had an article about Bess Williams' section in the library when it was being built in 1928. It mentions that Bess's young son, now an orphan, was in attendance during the dedication. It also had a later mention from 1949, the last year of the paper existed, about a bidding war for a planned expansion of the library in 1950. The bidding was won by Wildcat Construction and included a new statue fountain and second room that would double its shelf count. Wildcat Construction. (1960s). Wildcat Construction was mentioned once in an article you've already seen. It was also mentioned earlier in 1947 under the headline Constructing a Better World. Frank Wildcat Williams left Florida in 1941, a construction worker, and returned a hero. He won the Navy Cross for his bravery and sacrifice, having carried a fellow soldier to safety under heavy Nazi fire. Now he and his wife, Ophelia, are carrying his fellow soldiers through tough times at home. So we're looking at Frank Williams and Ophelia. Don't know her last name though. Wildcat Construction is Frank's company focused on creating opportunities for soldiers finding difficulty getting back to normal. I approve of this. Ophelia's handled outreach to the wives of local veterans who are often able to provide insights in their husbands' needs and conditions. She has, through such outreach, found 13 veterans of the war to serve as Frank's employees. Community support has been unyielding and overwhelmingly positive. It has gotten to the point where if Frank bids on a project, other local companies have decided to step back and let his soldiers handle it. Damn. That's terrible for a competitive business market. I put construction. Yeah, there we go. It's gonna get messy here at the end. We only need one more to see if we can lock in all those. Hopefully we can find a picture of Frank soon. This has become a bit of a sore spot for local politicians and business owners, as the bids are often not as low as they expected because they're not competing for the jobs. That's why. The problem for them is that essentially Frank has a selective monopoly, but any attempt to circumvent it has caused an uproar and accusations of being un-American. It's uncertain what will become of Wildcat Construction, but at least for now we're rooting for them. So we need to look into Frank Williams. can look up his wife's name. I hate the way sometimes like I'm trying to add by clicking here, but when I do that, half the time it auto grabs everything, even though I don't want it to, and then it erases what I'm trying to type. Do not like it. What did they call his middle name? Frank Wildcat Williams. There we go. Had to add his middle name to get the not be such a wild search. Frank Wildcat Williams is listed on a few different military history websites. He was awarded a Navy Cross Medal in World War II, and the story goes that even after being struck in the arm with a bullet, he managed to carry a fellow soldier through enemy territory on his shoulders for over 2 miles. What I want is his picture. That's cool. He took a picture in front of the statue of his mom. Bam. Ah, beautiful. That means we have solved Guy Hudson's Tree of Infidelity. Alright, so we've got only this left. I might try and push through today. I don't know how much time we got left, but we'll look into it. Alright. He died in 1996, age 74, in a retirement community in Sweetwater, Florida. An obituary on the website of a local news channel that was written by his surviving family also sheds light on some of his personal life. He grew up an orphan because his family died in a hurricane, or his mom did. He could barely remember his mother and had no memory of his father. That's because he never knew his father. After the war, he ran a construction company that mainly hired World War II veterans and did a lot of jobs in and around Greater Miami area. He was born a joker and a shining light to those veterans who needed it most. An anecdote mentions he used it to insist he married his wife, Ophelia, as a matter of courtesy and convenience. She wouldn't have to change her last name, so she is a Williams. Cool. Which means we already know that no matter what... Ooh, what happened here? Okay. They might have adopted a kid too. Did they adopt their kid's kid? Their grandchild at one point? Interesting. Not that. Alright, so we got Williams here. It was with a John Doe, split up. And then the parents kind of took over. A photo was attached to Frank in his youth juggling hammers in front of the construction site, as he was often known to do. According to the article, he is survived by Ophelia as well as his daughters, Barb and Sharon Williams. We're going to put them in these places first, but we can always switch them later. Nothing. Nothing on either of the kids. That's how you spelled her name, right? Well, yeah. Nothing. Alright. I did. Oh. Does Barbara go by Barb and that's the only way to find her online? That's kind of silly. Barb Williams is a motivational speaker and has had a website that explains the services she offers. Her company's address is listed in Coconut Grove, Florida. The flyer has been added to your evidence. Less than anyone can take away from an intimate evening with a truly wonderful message. Book Barb for corporate retreats, church events, and even school assemblies. She can customize her message for any audience. Fire includes 3 different testimonials from Greta Jones, Vic Elmsworth, and Isabel Crosby, the superintendent of Benton County. Darn. Well, public speaker would be the role. Why is her quotes of interest lead to something? Alright, Vic Elmsworth, according to his own personal message, is apparently one of 3 brothers. All 3 of them are contributors to a newspaper called Kikwa Falls Gazette, and he tends to focus more on the southeastern United States. All the articles he's written are archived on his site, including the long-form version of the review for Barb Williams' motivational show from 1997. According to Victor, he had seen Barb talk more than once. On this particular occasion, Barb's talk was at a very large church. It was clear she was an expert at matching the presentation of her concepts for any particular crowd, because she received a standing ovation. Barb started with a story about loss, specifically the loss of a bicyclist who had been hit by a car. She spoke about the death of any person as a darkness in their loved ones. A cold, empty void that begins to creep into a space where there once was light, because the light could never return exactly how it once was. He says the only option is to nurture new sources of light to help fight back the darkness. Her conclusion was that finding the hidden meanings in tragedy is the most important thing we can do. She used multiple biblical comparisons and finished by looping back around to her initial story and how she personally began to come around to this ideology. The biker who died was her son-in-law. And the Lanes Across America charity was created to fill the newfound darkness her daughter experienced. What? Oh. I think I get it now. So Sharon Williams is her daughter, and the bicyclist who died is him. Lanes Across America, or LAA, is a charity focused on adding bike lanes to major cities. The pages and pages of news articles that mention Lanes Across America have similar summary in them. It was founded in 1987 after the death of Drew Smith. A partial wedding photo from the website for a charity called Lanes Across America. The rest of the wedding party is cropped out. The charity was founded after the death of Drew Smith, who is featured in the photo. Drew was biking home from work when he was hit by a car. Each year since, Lanes Across America has grown, and they now have offices in over 12 major metropolitan areas, including Miami, where the charity began. The website for the charity has a picture of Drew. The photo has been added to your evidence. Okay, but... This doesn't give me any more to go off of, though. Nothing there. Okay. LAM. According to the dictionary results that pop up at the top of your searches, you learn the word LAM means to hit someone. Apparently, LAM is too common of a word to provide you with any specifics. That wasn't helpful. Ah, Lanes Across Miami. Wants me to learn more about starting. Searching for Lanes Across Miami does narrow down the pages and pages of articles you found earlier to only those with more in-depth history about the charity. You find some additional information. It's formed in 1987 and became LAA in 1994. It was founded by Sharon Smith after the death of her husband. Sharon and some other board members stepped down in 1992, and current leadership took over. One of the oldest articles has a full uncropped version of the same wedding photo from the LAA website. It seems that after Sharon left LAM, they began to crop her. and the rest of her wedding party out of the photo to focus solely on Drew, who is the face of the charity. The full photo has been added to your inventory. So this would give me Sharon's picture. I still have no idea what her occupation was. And this doesn't give me any information about what else is going on here. Alright, back to the Barbara Williams flyer. I guess we're going to look into Isabel Crosby. Nope, guess not. Fortunately, it has no online presence whatsoever. You do find it listed on a giant list of television call signs next to the city Springfield under the heading Effingham County. You may need to do a deeper dive on a specific city and state to see if any locals have discussed the news in that area. Oh, it's in Illinois. I'm spelling that wrong, aren't I? Ah, Springfield, Georgia. When you refine your search to television in and around Springfield, Georgia, you come across a website that lists different channels available there. The list seems to only feature broadcasts with female news anchors. The person who runs the website has ranked each using 3 categories, none are relevant to journalism. One of the entries is Channel 12. The news anchor listed is Greta Flores. Wait, what? Instead of Greta Jones? Greta Flores is a news anchor who apparently used to go by Greta Jones before her divorce. Compared to the ordeal you've gone through, to simply figure out her current name, it's way easier than you expect to find that she has a website of her accomplishments. She was apparently the EMC for an all-female speaking tour in 1977. The tour was called Storytellers of Sisterhood, the Mothers and Daughters of Earth. You do a search for it, and it seems some of the stories were compiled into a book, simply titled 25 Stories of Sisterhood by Aya Hale. So my issue with the game, like, taking me down this whole thread is, what does this have to do with the root trees at all? Like, this has to do with Barbara Williams, which, if we've solved it, like, what? But you know what? We're gonna keep digging. Elia Hale. Oh, did I spell it wrong? Alright, so this is an anthology of stories told on a few different sisterhoods of storytellers of sisterhood tours. It contains direct transcripts of most well-received stories told on stage. One of the stories by Barb Williams has been added to your evidence. Alright. The Beauty and the Brat. Barb Williams had the transcript of a story she told on stage published in a book. The first part of her story focuses on two 16-year-old girls. My sister Sherry was a brat. Always sulking, often disobedient. Never on time, she borrowed things without asking and even ran... I'm so confused, so... The way they did this with the lines is just... it's hurting my brain. Even ran away from home only to sneak back the next day like nothing had changed. My daughter Sharon, on the other hand, was a beautiful person. She had excellent marks in school, was intensely artistic and creative, and even volunteered at an animal rescue. Who the hell is Sherry? I don't get it. Unless she's the same person and she's saying she has like a split personality almost. What was the difference between Sherry the Brat and Sharon the Beauty? Is it nature, nurture, or better education? Or is Sherry herself? Different opportunities. The answer is nothing. There was no difference because my sister and my daughter are the same girl. The fuck? Now I'm even more confused. I don't get it. I'm just gonna keep going. Just gonna keep going. Don't make sense, whatever. It's no difference because my sister and my daughter are the same girl. Barb reveals that her daughter was the result of an unexpected pregnancy when she was only 15. I met a boy at a county fair. Unlike us, he lived in a nice part of town. He went to a good school. To a teenage girl, it felt like a fairy tale. But there were boxes all over his house. He was moving in 3 days. Those 3 days were heaven to me. The final night, he surprised me. He told me he could actually see me again soon. He planned to return to visit his grandparents. I thought I was giving him a reason to keep his promise. I never saw him again. And when I finally got desperate enough to ask around, a friend of a friend told me he hadn't even given me his real last name. Oof. And she went on to become a public speaker? Damn. So the John Doe is just some guy she met when she was 15 and ended up having Sharon. And because of how young she was, they adopted her. And so she became both her daughter and her sister. That is how that is. Barb also talks about when she found out she was pregnant. I was convinced my life was over, but my parents, they took charge. I had to live at home and work a part-time job, but they removed the burden of motherhood. I managed to scrape out a degree in English, and as far as my daughter was concerned, I was her much older sister. Barb uses the story to come to a conclusion. When I was younger, I thought my sister was the brat, and I wasn't wrong. But she ran away from home to work at that animal shelter. She borrowed my clothes for presentations at school, and her creativity allowed her to open up Sherry's hair. It took me far too long to realize the beauty was always there too. In fact, the brat and the beauty exist in all of us. It was my inner brat that kept me blind to the truth, and I'd like to say it's the beauty in me that's finally able to see what I was missing. I implore you to call upon the beauties in yourselves whenever the brats tries to take a hold. You know what? That's actually not a bad story. This is Sherry's Hair in Orlando, Florida. The owner of the business is listed as Sherry. Wow, what a last name. Sherry has a large van and on weekends can bring the style of Brittany, Christina, or even Rachel to your door. Hairdresser? The About Sherry section is very, very long and presented as one paragraph with multiple run-on sentences and no pictures. You get the sense that if she were to do your hair, she'd be doing a lot of talking. It mentions that her husband, Pete, was her late husband's college roommate. So, Pete was Andrew Smith's college roommate. She and he had never spent any significant time together until she became a widow, and they built a charity together, so that Pete and Sharon built the LAM, which became LAA. They left the charity behind because it was growing beyond their ability to run it. She also brags about their kids, Tony, Mark, and Cricket. Her oldest, Tony, seems to get the short end of the stick. Is that not his real first name? I just thought Anthony is short usually for or Tony's short for Anthony. So Anthony Smith under Andrew and Mark Smith under. And they had another son that they named Cricket. Cricket, really? I don't know the last name. Or actually, no, they mentioned it up here. What a name. What a name. Yaserzemski? Cricket York? She's an actress on a local television show called Library? Okay, one second. So... Why is her last name York? That her agent recommended they change her last name to York since it was easier to pronounce. The rest of the section describes how she got the part, but it seems unimportant to your search. So it is this name. Yaz, whatever. They changed her last name to York. We want to keep it as that because that's her maiden name. But Cricket York we can research. The Berry Library is a children's show filmed at a studio in Orlando, Florida. It has been on air since 1991. In the show, multiple adults and children interact with different animal puppets in a small town called Liberty. Unlike some other popular shows involving non-human performers, this one isn't funded by the public. Instead, it's paid for by donations from businesses related to education. This includes textbook manufacturers, tutoring companies, and a few well-known publishers of picture books. From what you can find, it's syndicated in a few markets across the southern U.S., and in New Hampshire for some reason. Like most other children's entertainment, many of those that grew up with it tend to have fond memories. That works in your favor because the show has been documented by a few fan sites. There's even a library web ring, though it only has 3 entries. You click through the sites in the ring and find that Cricket York joined the cast in 1997 at the age of 5 and is still listed as a current cast member. A picture of Cricket from one of her first episodes has been added to your evidence. And the puppet Poof Tail from 1997 when the show called... Found it on the theme of the episode tackled why some people needed glasses. I mean, do I put her as an actor? Because she's not just going to school, she is working. These ones are still in school though, right? I don't know. It's hard to tell. Till we get photos, I won't try and guess. Alright, let's look into these companies. This is a common scam in educational textbooks. College textbooks are a scam. If you did not know, college textbooks, in order to require new editions, require very minimal changes to the textbooks. And a lot of them are actually written by professors. And this is how they'll get additional income, is by being the ones who write textbooks and then giving them updates every few years, allowing them to charge and require students to renew their textbooks. Especially professors teaching certain classes. We actually had one in my school where they were the writer of the textbook, and they would require their textbook as part of the required, literature that you'd have to have for their class, and they would make money off of that. So it's like requiring somebody to buy your books at school. It was so stupid. I was one of those people that are like, nah, just give me the literature online, thank you. The news program announced that between the two books, there were only 16 total changes. The most noticeable was that the cover was changed from a picture of a water droplet creating concentric rings on a lake to a close-up of a feather. The other 15 were all instances of changing fourth to fifth. This even led to a geometry problem where the book asked students to calculate the fifth side of a rectangle. That's a scam right there. Alright, what is this? Educate to You. It's a tutoring service. They have a deal with Liberty Library and feature some of the actors from the show in pictures on their website. According to the site, they actually provide tutoring for all of the actors and actresses on the show to accommodate their shooting schedules. Included is Cricket York, who is seen in a photo labeled Cricket and her brothers ready to learn from one of our talented tutors. You don't find much else about Educate to You except that there seems to be a small subsection of fans who were deeply unsettled by the company's logo, which would appear off after the credits on each episode. One writes, "I was terrified of the little girl in the logo. She looked like some kind of demon doll, and I'd race to the TV every day to switch the dial before the creepy laugh came on." Jeez. I mean, I guess. Look at that logo. It's hand-drawn. So that's going to be our straight A student and our athlete here. 2 kids. So you got Anthony and then you got Mark. And they would both be students then. Boom. So who are we missing? It says 30 of 32 key relatives.
Hi again. I know you probably thought you were done. But it turns out what you're doing here might have some pretty major repercussions on the family tree.
Again. Also, there's something really strange happening. I can't explain it.
Neither of us can.
I'd call it a simple misunderstanding, but it's digging at the pit of my stomach. I just have a feeling. Clark?
Last week, let's just say being the president, sometimes people bring me things.
Just skip to the important part.
Right. One of our janitors brought me some hair she'd found in Ruby Spratt's trash. It was Bonnie Hudson's.
Bonnie Hudson's hair was in Ruby Spratt's trash?
Bonnie is Guy's sister. She'd sent us her hair to test potential root trees, since her DNA is closest to Guy's.
Oh.
But Ruby threw it out, and I wasn't sure why she would have done that. Especially right before we began testing the tree you provided. When I asked, she told me she thought the samples needed to be fresh every time they did a test.
It seems really odd.
Yeah.
Ruby was the one who convinced us to do DNA testing in the first place. She seemed so knowledgeable. I don't like it. You've done more of a deep dive on these people than anybody else has. Clark will keep a closer eye on the DNA tests from now on. You have an eye for anomalies. We need you to find the smoking guns.
If there's anyone you're 100% positive can't be a root tree,
or any you've got definitive evidence are root trees, then we might be able to catch Ruby in a lie.
Ooh. Wait, what? I have 13 possibles left to identify? Oh, okay. I have to, like, decide. Ooh, I do not like this. So Guy had another infidelity. My guess is that this would be Ruby Sprat. And maybe that's where this image comes from, but no, I think that's just her again. Okay. I think these two are Roottrees. I think, yeah, definitely cheated with Miracle. I'm gonna mark him as a Roottree. I only found 7 out of 15 smoking guns for him. Wow. I was able to figure him out without any of these clues. The other ones I'm really not sure of is this one here. But she was his secretary before becoming the author that wrote the puff piece that covered him. Being able to, like, definitively prove it's not easy. So might be, but impossible to prove, maybe? So I don't think there's a way we can prove that he is a Roottree. I'm gonna say he likely got all these root trees. Him, we're not sure of. This, I'll believe. I don't know about the rest, though. Yeah, Ruby Sprat. Mideastern University mentioned again. Wasn't Mideastern University brought up with, isn't that where Min Lang went to school, was Mideastern University? Or no, the Talon Claws are from somewhere else. No, Mideastern University, same school as Miss Spratt. Their legal and language departments are their pride and joy. Periodicals on Ruby Spratt. That's what I'm looking for. Ruby Spratt graduated top of her class from Mideastern Legal College. Her valedictorian speech was somewhat controversial at the time, as it was quite serious with a heavy focus on wealth inequality. This didn't go over well with the predominantly middle to upper class audience in attendance. The editor at the time said Ruby, unsatisfied by simply earning her place at Mideastern, the full scholarship, went on to earn a captive audience of her peers with a perfect GPA. Felt like the ideal occasion for a celebration of an undoubtedly incredible individual. However, by the end of her speech, there were many in the audience that wished that neither of those events had transpired. It was a passionate attempt to use her soapbox to proselytize her fellow students and their parents into a religion of poverty. In silence, they remain unconverted. Bonnie Hudson's the one that gave the hair. Oh my god. Nothing. Nothing. We're talking about where'd Guy Hudson come from in the tree? Over here. Sister Bonnie. Not quite sure where to go else from there. Wait, thanks to the Piketty article, Jane Doe... Courtney May Watts. I need to look in the company records about that. So it's not Spratt. But they're hiding someone. Beatrice Watts? From the view counter, you can tell you're one of only a few hundred people who visit it. She's not shy about claiming she is Jane Doe Roottree. As proof, she has posted an unobscured cover from the time she was featured on News Time, as well as a different picture of herself that appears to be wedding photo. The website seems to be created in defense of her mother, who has been the target of public scrutiny, under the headline, The True Story of Jane Doe Roottree, courtesy of Courtney May Newton, formerly Watts. Courtney May writes. This would be Courtney May. Watts. Newton would be her spouse's last name. It's not Ruby Spratt, it's a secretary by the name of, last name Watts, no. First name is, back to the company records we go. Beatrice. Danny. Why does it say 2 possible remaining? Because these ones aren't locked in yet because I haven't put in her profession. My mom approached the Rootrees before 5Ps was ever on the cover of News Time. Nobody at the Roottree Company took us seriously. They only listened to us after we appeared on TV and in magazines. The site has a scanned letter from the Ruby Legal Group to Courtney May's mother, Beatrice. In very polite legal terms, it seems to accuse her of exploiting their name in order to have her and orders her to leave the Rootrees alone. It's dated from a few weeks before the 5Ps article appeared, and it seems legitimate. Courtney May also discusses her mother's magazine feature in more detail. Do you know how difficult it was to convince anyone to tell our story? My mom didn't want to show her face because everyone in the media we approached assumed she was lying, because her story was just like 5Ps, but my mom's story was first. Mom was advised by Ryan and Cork to tell News Time magazine that seeing 5Ps on the cover was what inspired her to go public. That's the only way News Time would agree to do it and help her get on TV. But it's not true. Our story was first. Courtney's defense continues, but much of it seems repetitive and useless. Towards the end of her page, she discusses the DNA test and defends her mother's character. My mom is amazing. She's the nicest woman in the world. She has diabetes and works at a department store, but still managed to help pay for my apartment in the big city so that I could stay with my high school sweetheart. I got a degree in nursing, so I learned about DNA in college, but I'm beginning to think it's all a lie. Mom is 100% confident that there's nobody else who could be the father. Either they did the test wrong or DNA is complete BS. She is not a liar. Ruby Spratt lied about testing the DNA and that she wasn't part of the family because she didn't test it. She just threw out the hair sample of Bonnie, which leads us to believe that, yeah, it was a lie. they didn't want the truth getting out. So she's a nurse. What'd Beatrice Watts become? Works in a department store, but still managed to help. What does work in a department store entail? Cashier? Retail? That's filled out. Oh. Wait, what? They want me to question if these guys were actually root trees? Weird. Oh. Remember how one of the brothers wanted to kick the other one off the family, but they are blood relatives. That's just dumb. Alright. Alright. I think this is it. Let's do it. But first... No, I didn't get them right. Number of optional entries left, 1. Oh, no, it did lock those in.
Beatrice and Courtney May. Clark, can you swing another test against Bonnie's DNA?
This time I'll be sure to have them verify both samples in person.
1 week later.
Using the family tree you filled out, as well as DNA tests, we were able to uncover the truth behind all the inconsistencies. Clark's handling the business, but I've come to thank you and fill you in on everything we've learned. Buckle up, because it's been one heck of a week. Actually, that's an understatement. It's not every week you discover your family company is being sabotaged by someone they trusted.
Yep.
But that's the kind of time we've been having. Like I said, buckle up. Maybe grab some popcorn. We'll start with Guy Hudson.
Okay.
Guy had a frankly ridiculous number of potential children. What shocked me is how many graduated from potential to confirmed.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
We can even prove he was aware of them. The smoking gun was how he used company money to pay off a lot of women. He hid it with a method inspired by his idol, Elias. 5-piece flavors. The flavors he was paying to research were a ruse.
I get it.
He developed flavors based on the initials of the women he was paying. Which was really stupid, considering one of their names started with X.
Yep. Interesting. That's actually a pretty clever way to hide what he was doing.
Let's start with Christine. Guy was paying her under the name Caviar, but there were some other clues. James was born 9 months after Zach's party. Christine was there with Guy, and when she got pregnant, she panicked. Steve stepped up. He even turned it into one of his recipe stories.
Yep.
Not all of Guy's affairs led to offspring. He may have slept with Robin Martin, but she didn't have children, so we'll never know. Also, not every child of Guy's affair partners were his. Robert Garland was born after his parents had already moved to Boston.
Oh, I was wrong on that one. I did not pay attention to that key piece of detail. I got one right, the other one wrong.
Skipping Beatrice for now. Up next is Lang Xin-yu. When Guy showed up in China, she was into America. And Americans. When she got pregnant, her father paid key genes to fake IVF. They claimed her sister was unable to conceive.
Okay.
But her sister and Jerry had their own son, Mark.
Yep.
Sonia Alves was soon after. Nia was married at a very young age to a much older husband. She resented him. I don't blame her. They allegedly spent no time together in private. Guy was in Brazil during Christmas 1979. It's the only Christmas not in the records.
Mm-hmm.
Flavio was born 9 months later, and like the others, Guy started paying Sonia. Last was Susan Ford, hired to translate for Guy's overseas trips. It's easy to read into Guy's donation to her
Yeah,
school,
the
but there's no
$250,000.
definitive proof there. She and Guy were witnessed together near the end of his life. Susan's husband was convinced he couldn't be the father of her daughters. Guy, though, paid double. The price of twins.
Yes, that makes sense.
So, what about 5Ps? Felix Fellow's mother, Joanna, doesn't have a 5 pieces flavor. On top of that, his story doesn't really add up.
No?
His mother already left the company by the time Guy became president, and his lyrics indicate he was born sometime around 1975.
Oh, okay.
Alone,
I was wrong
that
about
wouldn't
that.
necessarily prove it. But there are some suspicious connections between Felix and the company's current lawyer, Ruby Spratt.
Did he come out to... and she used him to cover up the Anon
They both
mom?
grew up in Portland, in foster care, and according to the local paper, they definitely knew one another.
Ruby was definitely stealing money. And using 5Ps to do it, I guess? I don't freaking
Ruby
know.
was the one who approached the Roottrees to begin with. It was all a setup. Ruby
Interesting.
and Felix saw my book's challenge to the Clancet Trust as an opportunity. His mother really had worked for Roottree, and Ruby was a respected lawyer. She exploited my family's greed, worked her way into control of the trust, and ensured Felix got a piece. But they made some mistakes along the way.
Why? What was her motivation to make sure Felix got a piece unless he was kicking back to her?
If you look at the 2 DNA tests that Ruby handled, they were both supposedly tested against Bonnie Hudson.
But they're completely different. Bonnie Kellogg.
But the 2 signatures that should both represent Bonnie don't match. After Clark and I confronted her, Ruby lawyered up. Ironic, I know. We suspect Ruby had Donatico test Felix against his own mother's DNA. He had a hairbrush of hers. They sent the female sample in remotely. On the second test, Bonnie's sample was tested locally, but Courtney May's was not. Ruby's been throwing away samples. We think she sent her own hair instead of Courtney May's, but it could have been anyone's.
Interesting.
Ruby and Felix were in cahoots. As for why, they were both advocates of wealth redistribution.
Okay.
A noble effort. But once they controlled the family fortune, they became just as greedy as the worst members of my family. The money corrupted them. They were so eager to personally wield the wealth for their own cause that they sabotaged any other claims.
Interesting. So he is not a Roottree. I did not see that coming.
That finally brings us to Anonymom.
Anonymom,
AKA
yep, Beatrice.
Beatrice Watts. Her tales of Guy's parties and payoffs were true.
Yep.
She even approached Ruby before 5Ps was on news time.
Beatrice Watts coming forward is probably what convinced Ruby and Five Piece to do what they did to get the money.
Ruby used Beatrice's truths to make Felix's lies feel real. Then
Yeah.
ruined the DNA test so that Beatrice looked phony in the public court of opinion. I feel worst for her in all
Really
of this.
interesting.
While Ruby and Felix stole the show, there were some other potential new family members as well. Miracle Roottree was less of an open and shut case. That said, it's very likely he had a son with Mary Beth Clementine.
But not both. Oh. I'm an idiot.
Not Stuart. Mary Beth adopted him before she ever set foot in Butler County.
Yeah, so I got that wrong.
That leaves
Mark, though,
The timeline fits.
is Miracle's son.
He showed up about 9 months after Mary Beth visited Miracle. And the basket baby story is a bit too convenient. If that's not enough on its own, he was also bailed out by the sister of Edith Roottree, Miracle Jr.'s wife, after she changed her name to win that silly contest. Our best guess is that Mark was told by his mother whose son he was, and used that fact to put some pressure on Miracle Jr.
Mark was told who his mother was. Oh, okay.
We have no real proof of that, but nothing else really makes sense for why they'd be connected in that way.
Yep. So, no, yes.
Elias's affair was the most ambiguous.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to prove.
Gwyneth was able to coerce Elias to do things he wouldn't have otherwise done, like pressure to include me in the family. My son even mentioned them arguing about someone named Beth.
That's how I got Beth, but the Williams part came later.
Combined with Gwyneth's lisp, it's possible the name was actually Bess.
Bess Williams, yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately, all we know about Bess Williams is that she wrote his book and died not long after, leaving her only son an orphan.
And that's why I said it's potential, but I had no way to
Timeline fits with
confirm.
Wildcat, but there's no record if she had any other relationship. Honestly, I wouldn't say we had enough evidence either way. I wouldn't be surprised if Elias cheated. Of course, I'm a bit biased. Regardless, we haven't gotten in touch with any of the Williams clan yet.
Yeah, you'd have to DNA test.
That means we haven't been able to do a DNA test. As Clark mentioned, from here on out, all of our DNA tests will be in person for both parties.
I was correct.
Lastly, we have a bit of a curveball.
Wait, what?
Ron Roottree isn't related to us by blood. Gwyn was definitely pregnant, so it's likely Robbie is.
So Robbie was right about his brother not actually being a Roottree and when he tried to kick him off the Clansid Trust?
When Ron and Robbie went to visit their mother at the end of her life, something changed. Additionally, there have been a few rumors circling around Ron. RR Productions canceled the Guys Like Us remake due to the director's illness. At the same time, Ron's wife Penelope began doing benefits for Huntington's disease, stating that she had become familiar with it.
Oh, jeez. Ron's Huntington's disease?
Huntington's is the same disease that Gwyn's former co-star Leslie Florence had. It's passed from parent to child. It can't skip a generation. Because Gwyn and Wild Bill didn't have Huntington's, and Ron seems to, it's impossible Gwyn was his mother. I recently confirmed all this with Ron.
Wait, so Gwyn adopted him, and Wild Bill had Ron with Leslie?
At the end of her life, Gwyn told Ron the story. Leslie and Bill had an affair the same year Leslie learned she had Huntington's. Leslie got pregnant. Leslie wasn't likely to survive to see her child grow up. And even if she did, she didn't want to be a burden. She begged Gwyn and Wild Bill to adopt her child. Gwyn did. Mere weeks after she found out she was having her own son, she also took in Ron. Wild Bill was a problem. Unreliable and a serial adulterer. Gwyn divorced him and never saw him again. Gwyn had already told Starlet she was pregnant, so it never really made waves when people saw her with a child in Paris. There was gossip during her divorce when she was discovered to be pregnant again. In actuality, it was the final months of her only pregnancy. To lay low, she stayed in Paris long enough that even her own family never had reason to question
her older son is the one that didn't have... So her older son is the one that she ended up adopting. The younger one is the one that she actually had.
It's one heck of a story, and frankly, nobody could be expected to piece the timeline together, not with what few mentions of Gwyn's past have survived. But the Huntingtons itself?
That's proof.
proof.
So, not yes. Wild.
Ron suing Robbie to remove him from the Clancid Trust was a huge moment in my story, and a major catalyst for this entire investigation.
Which is wild, because Ron is the one who is not actually a Roottree. Robbie is.
Finding out that it's been pretty much backwards this whole time has been a bit surreal. So that's where we're at. Looking over the information you sent us was useful. Without your tree, I'm not sure we would have ever discovered Ruby. All this information, this entire story, it's a lot, in more ways than one. Some of it has the potential to destroy marriages and ruin relationships.
Yep.
We're handling it all very, very carefully. But we couldn't have gotten here without you. And with that, I guess our tale has finally, truly come to an end.
Alright, what are you giving me this time? I've already got a piece of the Roottree fortune, so it's my reward this time.
How grateful I am to you for untangling this mess. Honestly, I've had enough of my family's eccentricities and scandals for one lifetime. I imagine you have as well. And if not, well, there's always Elias's and Gwyneth's brothers and sisters.
Oh my god. There's more?
Attention, Rootrees. This is 5Ps coming at you from the real world.
And 5Ps isn't a Roottree.
You say money is the root of all your problems.
Thank you, Jeremy Johnston, for writing this fantastic game.
Sitting back in your massive estates, built from the cash that your ancestors gave you, acting like you somehow deserve it based on your family's creations.
But looky here, sonny, don't you come for our money, or you might burn bright in hellfire someday, like that Madsen chick
And her two dads. My pappy's Clancid Trust should keep you away. Yo, it's disturbing catching a sermon from a geezer who's never known hurt, but blurts out these claims that somehow we're sinners cause we didn't earn it. When all of your worth it came free with your name, you expect me to treat your lectures on greed as some expert creed from he without blame. How about instead I turn my other cheeks and spread them? When you give me a kiss, you'll know just where to aim.
You say money is the root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away.
Alright, let's speed it up.
What caused dollars, the root of all evil? Just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon feeds you the world's purest treacle, while real world folks burning spoons for the needle. So once more with passion, tell this poor tragic orphan.
Alright. So yeah, that's the end of the Rootrees Are Dead and Roottreemania. It's been a lot of fun. This was a lot to wrap my head around over the last several weeks. I mean, we've been playing Roottreemania itself for a month now. And, yeah. Fun game. Really good. I definitely don't recommend playing it by yourself, or if you're going to play it by yourself, playing in longer sessions, because remembering stuff for the next session has been pretty difficult for me to do. A lot of points where I don't think I would have been able to progress by myself like 100% without the hints in the game. And I think they did an absolutely fantastic job with those, often like leading me to articles to look back over them, refresh my memory, and then move on to the next thing. It wasn't very often where I was like, okay, just give me the answer of what you want me to look for to continue the investigation. I feel like I did pretty good overall, and I've really enjoyed this. So thank you. Much appreciated to those who recommended it. I really have had a lot of fun with this game, and I wouldn't have ever played it without your recommendation. So thank you. We've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. We've got some more Let's Plays that we're going to be starting on the channel. And as always, we've got our weekly videos of first looks and second looks at games as well. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video. Have a great one, guys.